Hello and welcome back to Find That Deal with Hunter Haley. In this video, we're going to be exploring some properties presented by Nick, who's based out of Tennessee. The first property has a couple different angles that we could go at. The first one I thought was, okay, it doesn't have a lot of road frontage, so maybe this isn't a good deal, but it has kind of a road that's kind of built through it that is possibly county maintained. It's a little bit questionable. It's a kind of a rough road. This isn't a deal breaker, but we figured out, hey, even though this isn't necessarily an optimal, normal situation where you just find a bunch of road frontage and then divide off of it or build your own road, this is kind of somewhere in the between. And so we explored a couple different potential opportunities that could be done with the property, both doing larger tracks and then even smaller tracks. So that was kind of an interesting deal to look at. And then the second property was more of a recreation play where, okay, this property, we had thought we could break it up into several different tracks, but after looking at it and the topography and everything, we realized it might be better to just keep it as one big track. It was like 20 acres, or possibly dividing it in half and leveraging the recreational attributes of the property to see if it would work out good for that. So take a look at these properties and see how we kind of sifted through the details, figured out, okay, this is what we can do. Here's how we would subdivide it. Here's how much we would be willing to pay for it and stuff like that. And hopefully you find this informative and interesting. And if you want to have your properties and your deals that you're looking at featured on Find That Deal with Hunter Haley, then reach out to me, and I'd love to set up a Zoom call and we take a look at a couple of your properties as well. So again, hope you enjoy this video and find it informative. So welcome back to Find That Deal. We're here with Nick, and we are going to take a look at some properties. He's looking at getting into the land business, so we're kind of going through some properties and kind of exploring them to do some deal analysis and see kind of how things are going for him and some of the properties he's looking at. These are kind of some areas I'm sort of familiar with. He lives in Nashville. I live in Memphis, Tennessee, so I know a little bit about it, but it's going to be a little bit of an adventure for both of us. So I'm going to share my screen here. We've got a couple of properties he's selected here. So we've got two that we're going to start with, and then see if we've got time to jump into some of the other ones. This first one you were telling me about. All right, so tell me about this. You were saying this is 0 Lawrence Road, Lexington, Tennessee. Is that right?
Yes, sir. So a guy bought it for $35,000 in June. And I talked to the agent earlier, and basically he's just looking to flip it to make some profit. What was really intriguing about this one is that there's a road that's county maintained that's 0.3 of a mile that goes right through the middle of the property. So I don't know, that seemed to me like some great home site potentials.
Okay. All right. So is this the same listing on Zillow?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's just see what the map. That does not look like it at all. Sometimes it's accurate or on it, and sometimes it's not. Looks like this is one of those not on it times. So we're gonna have to play a little bit of an investigation to find this. So this is 0 Lawrence Road, Lexington, Tennessee. Let's put that in Google Maps and see what we've got, because we want to look at a map right for sure. Okay. That's not where we wanted to be. Let's see.
No.
Let's go to Lawrence Road. Okay, there's Lawrence Road. Let's go to Satellite.
Oh, wait, that was it. It's right there.
It's right here.
You see like the hook
Right
kind
here.
of a shape. Yeah. So that's the property.
Okay, perfect. All right, so let's look up here. So there's Jackson, Tennessee, because we want to pull it up in map right. So we've got Jackson, Lexington. It's kind of north of that there. Okay. So let's do this. Here's Jackson, Lexington. It's kind of in between. Let's see. Get my bearings here. So again, there's the Jackson area. There's Lexington. let's see. So it's going to be north of 412. This is 412, so it's going to be over in this general area. Oh, there's that big lake. Let's see. Okay, so there's that Juneau. Sorry, I'm just trying to zoom in here.
There's 104.
Yeah, there's 104. 104 comes off and then makes a straight down. Let's see. 104. Okay. Let's see. Supposed to be another road. And I'm not seeing the same name on the road. Let's see. I think that's too far. Okay. Okay, so there's like a speedway. Let's see if we can find that. Zoom out just a little bit. And I'm not seeing it. Let's see here.
It's north of Juneau.
Yep, you're right. It is north of Juneau.
Left of 104.
Beulah Holmes Road. Let's see. So there's Juneau. So just go north from there. Okay, what's this road?
Oh, I see it.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay, there's the
hook.
So it goes up just a little. Yep, we're getting in it. Yeah. Oh, there we go. All right.
Woo.
All right. Sometimes I'm better and sometimes I'm not so good. So this is the property right here.
Yeah, and you see
It's
that
got the
little,
long strip.
yeah, that's what's kind of weird, but I guess it works.
Okay. So it's saying 29.51. What did it say on the listing?
It said 29.5.
Okay. Which again, this isn't always exact, but when I mapped it out, it's saying 29 or 27 acres when I hover over the actual mapping, not the deed, because this is pulling off the deed 29.5. But once it maps it out, map right, it's saying 27. So I would definitely want to have a survey. I wouldn't just buy it off the deed. Now it looks like there's a power line or something coming through here. So I don't know if something was back there at one point or there's something there along the trees. I don't know what that would be. It may not be a power line. But you've got like a little spot there and a little spot there. That's interesting. But they do have trails going through it, which if I remember from the road, from the pictures, it's kind of it's not a full-on gravel road, but it kind of is. It could be widened for sure. It's pretty thick, and it looks like they've got some kind of sinkhole or erosion or something, a soft spot right there. See how they've got the bigger rock? That tells me that this is a soft spot. So you might would have someone come in and scoop that out, put either a culvert or something in there, or you may just have to, if it's just smushy, it's not actually water running through there. If it's just smushy, then you probably have to put thicker rock. My theory is there's probably, well, let's look. Does MapRight have, let's turn on water features and wetlands. Okay. Which it looks like there's a creek kind of running or something running down through there, but it's not really showing across the property. So yeah, not sure. I definitely have to investigate that. So at first glance, this does not have hardly any road frontage at all. Like it's just got this little entrance here and this little entrance right here. So the selling factor of this is that it's got this, pre-made roughed in road of sorts.
Right.
I think you would have to, based on the pictures, I'd go look at it some more, but it looks like you're definitely going to have to improve it some. And see, like there's little divots and stuff like that in it that's collecting water and stuff like that. But the property itself looks pretty. It looks like a lot of hardwood, which is good. It's just real bushy. So if you clean this up or sold it during the winter time, that might help. It looks like there's power going back there along that road because there's a line going back down that gravel road. So I don't know if they had something back there at one point or not. So that, yeah, it looks like it keeps going. So that could be a good thing. Yeah, there's another power pole. So that's a good thing, that if there's a power line running all the way back there, but you just have to make sure, if you divide off, if there's one power line that runs back to right here, you want to, it depends on how you would lay it out. The price that you quoted me is expensive. But let's just see what dividing this off looks like. I'm gonna have to move you here. All right, here we go. Okay, so that's 1.5. The challenge is, in Tennessee, I like to do a minimum of like 5-acre tracts,
Yeah.
because of the state's regulation. Mississippi is 3 acres, Tennessee is 5, and it varies some by county, but that's typically, and then Arkansas is usually like 10, I want to say. And so you don't have to get like perk tests and stuff. It's still not a bad idea, but you're not required to, because it's considered recreation property, or they're more likely to allow a septic. Um, the challenge I'm seeing here is, like, I'm trying to come in and map off 5 acres, without taking up too much of the road frontage, because again, the more road frontage, better. See, that's 4.7. Okay, because the theory is, with this one, you would be extending the road, because you can't sell it just based off the existing road frontage.
Mhm.
On those two. Yeah, so that's 5 acres. Okay, this one would come in something like that. Yeah, you're not really getting. You have like a little narrow strip on that side. Okay. Yeah, you're only getting to 4.1 acres. So you probably want to put this little home site or whatever it is on that track. So you would probably want to do something kind of like this. So that's 5 acres right there. So this driveway coming in would then serve that person. Okay. And then you would probably have a track that comes off something kind of like this. I'm assuming it's 3.9. Let's go a little bit more. That's 4.86. We need to add just a little bit more to it. Okay, so that's 5, or just over 5. Yeah, just over 5. And then I'm just thinking through, if that was an existing road, how would I divide it up? We're probably gonna have to do this one similarly to get. Yeah. Okay, let's try. This right here. It's gonna be roughly 5 acres. Okay, that's gonna be roughly 5 acres. This one may need to be just a little bit bigger than 5 acres. I don't know.
Could you use that little strip? Would that count?
Yep. I would add it to probably that one. Oops, that wasn't right. Take out the little road section, which technically, if it's a private road like that, they're probably going to be buying that anyway. Yeah. So then that's a 6-acre tract. So you've got, 5 acres, 5, 5, 5, 6. It's a little wonky at first, but it could work because it's deep enough to put a house on. It's over 300 and something feet deep, so someone could put a house on it. They're wide enough because you need it at least to be, 200 or 300 feet wide. So that's 300 feet wide. So they're laid out decently. Well, let's see. That's how it would have to be laid out. It looks flat-ish. So again, remember, like we talked about when we were looking at the last couple deals, the closer the lines together they are, the flatter it is. I mean, the steeper it is, whereas the further apart they are, the flatter it is. This is a very gently rolling. This is going to be the high part here. So this would be an excellent home site. So I actually like to go in sometimes, and I would say, you know what, this is an excellent home site right here. It's at the top of the hill. I don't know if it's enough to have a view per se, but that's pretty good being up there kind of at the top, and it's wide right there, and that driveway comes right to it. I would see if that power line we saw, if it just came back and went into here, or if it came all the way back to here. I don't think it comes all the way back here. It looks like they had something back here at this spot. So I would say that's where it went. So you would have to extend the power line, but you're not talking about a long distance here. So, and you wouldn't even have to run it all the way to that property because they may run some of it themselves. Oops. It wouldn't be that far. Yeah. You're looking at less than 800 feet. So that would not be probably very expensive. If it goes that way, you're looking at, maybe 700 feet to run it. And again, you wouldn't even have to run it all the way to the property. I would probably run it to like right in this area and let them, because the power companies will give them like, so many, 200-300 feet or 400 feet or whatever for free or pretty cheap if they're building something. So you may have to, spend, it depends on the company. But that may be $1,000 to $3,000 to run that power line. Somewhere in there. I know that's a big range, but, and it may not even be that expensive. I don't know. You just have to budget that in. I would budget that into my, proposal or my deal analysis. But your bigger expense is going to be widening that road and improving the gravel and adding either more rock or culverts or something to get that drivable. And people will have to know that you said it's a county maintained road.
Yeah, and I was gonna ask, like, if it's not, or if, maybe the agent didn't know exactly what he was talking about.
I mean, I've seen some pretty rough county roads before. So I'm wondering if somewhere back in here, because there's a power line cutting across, doesn't cut off into there, but it's definitely coming back here. I wonder if there was like a cell tower or something at one point. Maybe not a cell tower, but something back in there. And that's the reason why they were maintaining it back. I don't know what it would be, because it's not obviously that. Unless this is an older Google map, because it kind of looks like there's power going through there too. So I don't know. That's intriguing. Now, it may not even be worthwhile. I don't know. You definitely have to clear it up. It looks like people are using that. It doesn't look like it's an entrance. It's only 27 feet wide. So I would keep it. But like, it looks like if you turn that into a road, you'd have to bulldoze through a bunch of trees and make neighbors mad, having it going right by their house and stuff. So I would include it in one of these tracks. Probably this one to make it a premium one, because it's got this really nice hilltop view. It's got the gravel road going to it. It has a second entrance. It's all in how you sell it. So I would market this as my premium track. This one has creek access. So this one, its benefit would be having a second entrance. This one's benefit would be having it looks like there's some kind of creek. It may not be a full on creek, but it looks like there is, because this little tree line, and it looks like there's a drainage ditch or wet weather creek or some kind of creek cutting through there. So that one would have, quote unquote, the creek, which this one would as well. This one, the benefit would be that the power goes probably all the way back here, and there's some kind of gravel already established, so someone could park a camper or start putting a house or doing something there. This one will probably be a little less premium, because it's like, between those two. but it's not a bad one or whatever, because it's got frontage. It's got multiple ways of getting to it here. So yeah, all of this doesn't look as bad as I thought at first, but I would definitely want to get pricing for extending the power line, seeing if the county maintains it. If the county maintains it, you may say, hey, look, I've got multiple people putting tracks in through here. Can we widen this road? Can we do something like that? Because if they're maintaining it anyway, they're supposed to maintain it per traffic, what the traffic's going to be. So if it's just, there was something way back in there that they managed at one point in time, they may not be managing it super well. I've had properties before where they had a public cemetery in the national forest, and this road cut through to go back to that cemetery, and it cut across our property. It was technically owned by us, but the county maintained it via easement or whatever. I don't remember how exactly it was, but you have to work, usually in rural counties, you have to work with them to get them to do something. Usually people aren't going to be just they're like, if there's no one complaining, they're not going to spend more money on that road. But
Right.
if you're like, hey, I got 5 or 6 more tracks coming in here, then that could be good. Now, as flat as this is, and it does look pretty, and it looks like this is like mobile home central, since there's a lot of smaller houses and mobile homes in here. Like if you look at these parcels, it looks like, you've got a lot of like 1 acre lot, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 1 acre, 1 acre, 1 acre. Yeah, you got a lot of smaller, less than 2 acre lots. So what could make this, which means that there's obviously a market for people to live in that area. Okay. It's a pretty area. You said it's how far from Jackson? 30 minutes?
20 minutes. Yeah.
That's not too bad. So my thought on this is, at first glance, I like to do 5 acre lots. But I'm just thinking, is you could probably go in here and cut out like 1 to 2 acre lots like that.
Mm.
You see what I'm saying? So 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, and back here you may have like a 2 and a 2, and like a. But again, you'd have to check and see what county this is and what their requirements would be, because after you do so many, you're probably going to have more development costs, because you're probably going to have to make the road wider. You're probably going to have to do some more infrastructure. You're going to have to probably do more cleanup, open a home site with a dozer and track hoe. What was the price per acre on this?
It's 3,700.
Yeah, if you could get it for 3,000 an acre, you should not have any problem getting 6,000 to 8,000 an acre for the 5 to 6 acre tracks, I don't think. So I think you could double your money as it is right now with a little bit of work on the road. Again, I say double your money, but that's assuming I don't know how much it would cost to increase the gravel and stuff like that. If it's a county maintained ish road, then if they have multiple people going in there, they may be willing to do some more work to it, right? Mm-hmm. If not, then you'll have to budget that in and figure out what those costs would be. See if the county allows that, what the county restrictions are. Obviously it looks like they do mobile homes, but if they put a moratorium on that, are they allowing any more? Is it just stick-built homes? Those are the types of questions I would explore about this one, because this one's going to be a little bit more of it's not just a simple cut up, divide off the road frontage and sell it option. This is more of a development type. We're going to have to put some work into it, but it has potential, because the thing is, if it'll perk, which is a big thing in Tennessee, doing smaller tracks, which it shouldn't have an issue, because there's lots of other ones right around through here. So that none of them had an issue. Right. And so if it has the ability to perk, I would do a little bit more due diligence on like doing some preliminary soil analysis, maybe do a soil map, spend some money on that. I mean, you may spend, a preliminary soil analysis may cost you, $1,000 to $2,000, maybe more. I don't know. It depends on the area, maybe a little less. I had one quoted the other day in Fayette County, which is the next county over, and it was like 50 acres. It was going to be like $1,500, but it was just a preliminary. It wasn't a full on. It was just a preliminary where they would go out and say, yeah, I think this should perk. It wasn't a full on perk test, but that would be worth doing if you thought you were going to divide it up into like 1 acre lots, right?
Would
Because
that
you
be
don't want
more
to.
profitable than 5 acre
Oh, it'd
tracts?
be a lot more profitable because you could sell again, like I said, you could probably sell a 5 acre tract. If you sold it for 5,000 acre, that's 25,000. I think you could do much better than that. I think you could sell it for 35,000, maybe pushing 40,000,
40,000 an
maybe even
acre?
more, huh?
You're talking about per acre?
No, 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 for the track, for the
Oh,
track. Sorry.
yeah.
So again, per acre, if you're at 8,000 an acre, 8,000 times, I'm sorry, 8,000 times a 5 acre tract, that's only 40,000. That the payment on that's not very much. And this is obviously a desirable area. So I think you could get that 6 to 8,000 an acre. I don't know that, but I feel like you could. However, I've talked to a bunch of realtors around the Jackson area because I've looked into that. And they've said that, east of Jackson doesn't do as good as west of Jackson and north of Jackson. North of
Mhm.
Jackson going to Humboldt, people are paying like 20,000 an acre. It's
Wow.
crazy. It's just absolutely bonkers because that's where the good schools are, stuff like that. South of Jackson is going to be more industrial. Okay. Headed back down like towards Baller, like the further you go this direction, the cheaper it gets, right?
Mhm.
Coming towards Memphis used to be cheaper, but this area right in here is starting to pop because people are realizing, oh, this is so expensive over here closer to Humboldt that we can buy land over here for 4,000 an acre. Well, a year or 2 or 3 years ago, I was looking at options for less than 3,000 an acre. Now those same tracks are 5 and 6,000 an acre
Wow.
for small tracks, right? So going out this way, it's cheap-ish, but it's getting more and more expensive. And Lexington is becoming a more and more desirable area.
Yeah,
And
I
so, so
live there.
I I think this one you could, especially offering owner financing like you would. Um, I don't see a problem getting 6 to 8,000 an acre. You may even try to listing it for more. You may try listing them for 49,000, which is, right at almost what is that? Almost 10,000 an acre. I think you might could get it if they're pretty enough because they look pretty. But now again, they're selling it for 3,700 an acre. If you got it for 3,500 an acre, and then you put $1,000 an acre into it for building road and doing all that, you're 4,500, 5,000 an acre into it, or let's say 4,500 an acre, and you're selling it for 9,000 an acre. Well, you're doubling your money, right? If you're going to spend that much developing it, because the road and stuff, how many acres was this again? 20, 29. Yeah, you'll probably spend it, or 27. You'll probably spend at least $30,000 getting that road. Well, I don't know. We said that was roughly 1,000 feet. Yeah, you'd probably be fine. Less you development cost of 1,000 or less per acre, probably, maybe not. You just get that quoted. But if you're going to do that much work anyway, if the county will let you, I'd probably try to do 1 acre lots there and go through that. You'll probably have to go to before the board and stuff and submit your proposal, and you'll probably have to some more red tape. It'll take longer and stuff like that. But again, a 1 acre lot you could probably sell for let's see, that's the thing. I don't know. You could probably sell it for 15,000. I don't know if you could sell a 1 acre lot for 20,000, maybe, but that's going to be probably pushing it. So again, you could almost double your price again per acre. You could almost get, again, you're getting almost 20,000 an acre. You probably get 16, 17, 18,000 an acre for it. Probably could do that if you were doing 1 acre lots or 1.5. I'd probably do 1.5 to 2 acre lots. But you'd have to do a lot more dozer work and stuff like that. So there's money there, but it becomes like, okay, do you want to spend 9,000? Do you want to spend 4,500 an acre and sell it for 9,000 and double your money? Or do you want to, and take the risk of spending all that money into it? Or do you want to just buy it, put a little bit of work into it and sell it for 6,000 an acre, but only be in it for, sell it for 6,500 an acre, but only be in it for 3,500 an acre, like not do much more than what you already have, what the list price is. So
Yeah.
that's always the balance of like, if you can double your money, it's great to just sink more money into it. But if you're tying up more money, more time, if this is your first deal and you haven't done this before, you're going to run into a lot more expenses, a lot more headache. And you haven't done this area before. So you're hoping that it sells for 10 or 15,000 an acre on the smaller tracts, but you don't know. And so, if it was me, I would probably try to get it as close to 3,000 an acre as possible or less. Like you said, he paid a lot less than that for it. Right? Isn't that what it
Yeah,
was?
he paid 35,000
And he's selling it for 80 something
for 110.
or for 110. Yeah. Okay. So he's got wiggle room in this, right? And
Mhm.
so, my thought would be on that is I would definitely try to come in. I would lowball them. It may kill the deal, but I would lowball them. I'd say, look, 2,500 an acre is where I'm at, and just see what happens, because it's probably worth 2,500 an acre, honestly, to you, right? Um, and 2,500 an acre, and I'd make it based on the surveyed acres. So that'd be 67,000. That's asking him to come down, not quite half, but he's shooting high. He knows he's shooting high,
He
right?
was double his money. Yeah.
He what?
He was still double his money because
Oh
he
yeah,
paid.
he's still doubling his money. He's trying to, yeah, he's just hoping some, rich guy from Nashville looks at that and says, "Oh, that's not too bad. Pretty property. I'll buy it." That's what he's hoping for, right? And so you want to come in like, look, let's have a reality check. And depending on how motivated, typically, if this is an investor who's flipping the property, they're not usually super motivated because they know they can hold on to it and get more money out of it. And if they're in the flipping property, they probably made money, so they don't have to make money on this one, unless one, their loans are coming due. Two, they found something else that's better that they want to make money on. Or three, they start to get a feel for the market and they're like, you know what? I'm not going to be able to triple my money. I'm only going to be able to double my money. So I better go ahead and take it now. So one of those three scenarios. So if you lowball him, it's not really a lowball, but if you give him a realistic offer of 2,500 and he just completely blows you off, move on, let it sit. If it sits on, it's probably not going to sell immediately, right? If it's this expensive. So come back 3 weeks, 3 months, however long it sits there, and come back and say, hey, look, I can do 2,600 an acre or 2,750 an acre or something like that, and see if he's willing to move more. But if he counters something reasonable, like, you know what, I can do 3,200 an acre, then just try to settle out somewhere in the middle, So that would be my suggestion on this one. I would definitely want to walk this one, but before you spend too much time walking and stuff like that, you need to just shoot him an offer. I'd probably just shoot him a verbal offer. I'd tell the realtor, say, look, I've done some research on this. This seems extremely expensive. I'm probably going to be in the ballpark of 2,500 an acre, maybe. Okay. Is that even in the realm of him entertaining it? And if the realtor says, you know what, don't even waste our time. No offense, but he's not going to entertain anything less than 3,000 to 3,500 an acre, then you'll know where his real price is, right? And so that's probably what I would do, is I would just shoot it out there low, see what happens without spending too much time on this one. I would just do that and see where it lands.
Cool.
So I don't know if I've got time to go over those. Let's look at your other one just real quick. This is like the opposite in the spectrum. It's like 1,700 an acre, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if we can. Lobelville. It's been years since I've been out to Lobelville. There's like a Amish community out there.
I don't even know where that's at.
It's Mennonite or yeah. So that's off of 40. You got Nashville. Yeah, there's Lobelville.
Wow.
So this one's gonna be closer to the Tennessee River, which is good. People like that. Okay, Cuba. Oh, I know where this is. Okay. Let's do.
The only problem with this one, I've already checked the typography. I think it's kind of slopey.
Slopey, huh? Where's Nashville? There's Nashville. There's Dixon. There's Interstate 40. Is that the Tennessee River? No, that's the Piney River. I think Tennessee River's back this way. There's Duck River, Buffalo River. Here's the Tennessee River. Okay. So where's this one at? Cuba Landing. Okay, so it's gonna be like somewhere right in here. Yeah, it is. This is definitely a hilly area. It's not the end of the world though, for what it is, depending on the price. Okay, so Pond Hollow. Let's turn off some of these other things. Full Branch. Cuba. Boy, it all looks the same. Hang on a second. Let's turn that off. Okay. So that comes on. There's that. Here's the, okay. So here we go. And that road kind of swoops up that way. I think it's gonna be right in through here. What does the property look? What does the map look like? Does it say?
Yeah. It's so
Is it this one right in through here?
no. It's off Rolling Hill Road and Deer Run Road. Let's see.
There's Rolling Hills.
And then Deer Run Road. I see it. Go back to where you were.
Okay.
Okay, you go north. It's yep, it's right there. William Keel.
This one? Okay. So it's on the corner of these two roads here. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
William Keel. Yep, that's why it had road frontage on both. I was like, okay,
Is
maybe.
it this one too? He's got several here.
Oh,
Yeah, it has to be because it's how many acres?
that one was 22.
Okay. See how I selected multiple ones and merged them into one deal? And I've got 20.5. That's going to probably be close. And I'm not seeing any more with his name on it. I don't think. So first thing we're going to do is turn on the contours and water features and wetlands. So there doesn't have any creeks. That would be a redeeming factor if it had a creek. Man, that's hilly. So potential home site here, a small one, cabin site. I'm going to call it a cabin site. Okay. Right there. Okay. Possibly on this one. And this is the top of the hill, so that's not a bad thing. So possibly a cabin site here, maybe some dozer work. It's
Well,
gonna be
since the
really.
road is also pretty elevated,
I'm sorry.
the road,
Yeah, it looks like it's pretty steep coming off of it right there. All right, this looks like a decent home site right here. Okay, if it's not a draw at 640, 620, so it slopes off. Okay. And it looks like it comes off the road pretty decent. Maybe one here. All right. So again, look, see how they put that mobile home going long ways into
Mhm.
this flatter area. See that?
Yeah.
So you don't have that, so you'd have to go this way, but I don't know if that's enough. That'd be kind of pushing it. But these aren't like super tight together, weird like those. So you might could put one there. I'm going to say cabin site somewhere in this general area. This is wider right here. So see how there's houses tucked in that same width right here. So that's a potential home site. These are all a slope. This is coming downhill. You might could have a driveway coming in here and coming in here, but again, that's sloping down. So there, I'd be worried about water running down in here. I'd be worried about this being wet. So I would check that, but that's a possible cabin site. Okay. And I'm saying cabin as in maybe not a full on home site, but if someone wanted to park their camper and use this for recreation or something. So it looks like this is a big ridge that comes out, probably very pretty, coming along through here. Then there's a valley in between. And then this is kind of a ridge, this is what you call a ridge road that goes along the top of a ridge here. This is kind of in the bottom. That's questionable right there, but possible, but questionable. This one right here probably is a decent home site. It's probably up at the top of the hill looking down, probably has a decent view, as this one might as well. This one looks like it has less trees and more sloping off. So this person has potential area going out here if they want horses or flatter areas to build a barn or have a trail going down. A lot of times you'll take the trail and go down the middle of this bend here towards the bottom. This right here, I don't know if I would call that one or not. So if I was going to divide this off, just off the map here. Wait, I keep forgetting this isn't a big tract of land.
So if it's 20, which was it? It said it was 22 acres. So I guess you can only do 4 home sites.
I don't think you're going to have that many with the lay of the land, though. So on this end, you've got, we'll call it 7 acres. Yeah, 7 acres right there. Okay. So you've got 7 acres with a possible home site right here, a possible home site down here at the bottom of the hill, possibly, maybe a little dozer work. But so they've got 2 possibles, means that they should be able to make something work there. And then this one, I would probably come out and do something like this. So that's going to be 7. We're going to call it 8 acres. Yeah, right at acres. Okay. And then, bro, I think I would make this all one track right here because this is real sketchy as far as home sites, but they might be able to make something work. I would definitely walk this one. That's 5.5 acres there. So you got a 5.5, an 8, and a 7. I don't think I would break it up any smaller than that. Mm-hmm. This one is maybe potential home site, kind of questionable. I wish it had the whole, like this. If it had this whole ridge going out, it'd be awesome. I've sold properties like that before. I know it'll sell because it's like kind of a cool king of the hill kind of feel, but you're like splitting the hill. Like, so you've kind of squeezed your side on, so you're like half the king of the hill and it's just not as exciting, right. And it looks like there's something else already there and you'd be kind of forced to be on that side. So that's where I'm saying you'd want to leave someone the possibility. But again, if they're just using it for recreation, which at this price, again, I'd try to be in it for, $1,500 an acre or less, not $1,700 an acre. Yeah, it's possible. And then I think this would be a really good home site. Just by looking at the topography, it's got this big ridge coming out. It's wide enough that you could at least doze something out to where you could have a nice flat home site or flat-ish. It may be sloping off slightly, but it's not like, but it's going to slope off steep off to this side and in here. So it has some recreation opportunity. This right here, I'd really have to look at it to see if I could make something happen there. If that won't work, then I would bump this line up and I would just cut it in half and say this top half is 10 acres or 12 acres or whatever. We said this was 22 acres. Yeah, I would be just tempted to do this is 1/2 and this is 1/2. Do 10 and 10. Where this, we know we have a solid home site and you can probably sell this one for enough. Like if you can double your money on this one, you've paid for the whole tract. So anything you sell this for is just gravy.
Right.
That's how I would look at that one. And I
Okay.
would definitely try to come in at a lower price per acre. Uh, Tennessee property is expensive though. So, and with it being close to the Tennessee River, yes, it's hilly, but people might be willing to do like a cabin that's tucked in with like a second floor basement. Have you seen that like on in Pickwick and stuff where they'll have like a 2 or 3 story house, but it's like a cliff. Their house is literally built into the side of a cliff down
Hmm.
to the water. If this looked over the Tennessee River, I wouldn't be one bit scared of it because they'll stick it on the side of anything to have a view of the river. Um, this doesn't even have a creek. So, this is someone who wants to be out in the middle of nowhere. Because let's see, public lands. Yeah. So you've got the Tennessee National Wildlife Refuge. I think you can hunt that. I don't know. It says conservation easement. I would make sure you could hunt that because it doesn't say WMA. Tennessee Refuge. I don't know. Yeah, I would check and see if that was all public hunting land around the Tennessee River. If it was, then you're just down the road from it here, right?
Hmm.
So someone would buy this to put an off-grid cabin to then be able to hunt. They'll drive in from Nashville, come to their camper or their cabin or their whatever, or drive in from Memphis or Jackson or whatever, camp there, then go out and hunt this and then come back and, back and forth, stuff like that. People do buy it for that. So if you can hunt this, then that could be a big draw. That could be a big draw. And it's not far from that boat dock up here. I don't know exactly how long it would take to get up here, but and that's a pretty area. I tell you what, I've drove out there before. That's pretty country down through there, down near the Tennessee River. So I wouldn't be afraid of this one, but I'd probably just divide it into two halves because you're not selling them for home sites. They're more. This is definitely going to be more recreation. So you might, if you could get it for 1,500 an acre, you might just try to sell the whole thing as 20 acres. I'd try to divide it into two halves, but you're more likely going to have someone buy both halves. And you can, if you get it for 1,500 an acre, get it surveyed. Let's say you're in it for 1,500 an acre. Let's say you get it for 14 something, and let's say that you're in it for 1,500 an acre with closing costs, and they pay the survey. Okay, so and then you sell it as one lump sum, and you owner finance it for 3,000 an acre. So you owner finance it for 60,000. Could see someone doing that. They couldn't just go pay cash for it. Maybe if you could divide it into two 10-acre tracts, I could see you doing good on that. But I'd try to keep my cost to a minimum. I would go walk it, and it looks like you've got one good home site. You don't want to make two mediocre. It's better to have one good home site with a little bit bigger property if you're at the price point that you're at, than to try to sacrifice that to try to squeeze in 3 or 4 lots.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? But I wouldn't be opposed to that one. I might would go look at that one.
Go for it, bro.
If you're not going to do it, let me know. But yeah, that would be a kind of a unique property. And I would really try to get it for less per acre.
Mhm.
Again, I would try to be, I would, depending on if there's public water access, which I doubt there is, depending on how much wells cost, which is probably expensive because you're in the hills there. So you have to probably go pretty deep. I would find out all that. And I would find out if you could hunt this area right here. If you could do that, anything south of 1,500 an acre, I think you're safe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it says there's no water. Does that scare you?
Well, just means there's no public water. So that means you're probably going to need a well. So then you need to call and see how much wells are, or if people do wells out there. So that means it's definitely recreation primarily. If wells come back at, again, 30 or 40,000, like I've had some, it's rare, but they could be that if it's in the hills like this and it's really deep. Wow, that would be steep. That would be very, very challenging to sell that at a premium, right? But if they'll do a well for $6,000 to $10,000, $15,000, somebody would buy it and put that on it. if you're willing to sell it cheap enough, and somebody would probably own or finance it for considerably more than you paid for it. I think you could double your money. Again, if you paid less than 1,500 an acre, I think you could double your money on it. Possibly, especially if you divide it into 2 tracks. If you do 1 track, yeah, you may have to sit on it a little longer, but someone would do it, depending on how pretty it is. The better you market it, the better it'll be. If it's just gorgeous, somebody might do it. If not, then I don't think you're going to lose money, if that makes sense. Because I think you could turn around and market it a little bit better, or owner finance it for, instead of 1,500 an acre, maybe you just do it for 2,500 an acre. And so you make $1,000 an acre plus 8 to 10% interest. So you make money off of it. So you cash flow every month. But it's not going to be like this, home run deal. So I would definitely want to walk it, see how pretty it is. Because this one, proximity to Tennessee River and good hunting, along with how pretty it is going to make the difference. And if you can sell someone who's already looking for the off-grid lifestyle on it, man, they'd be happy to have it. I've actually got a property right now that wells are 30 to 40,000. I thought I could run water for 100,000. I'm sorry, for 50 to 70,000. They came back at 300,000. They finally got the cost down to 200 something thousand to run public water, extend the line. But they're like, we're only going to pay half of it, the water utility company. So I'm still on the hook for over 100,000. So I said, forget it. I'm not going to do it. I'll just sell it. I was in it for, I think I paid 1186 an acre. So it was under 1,200 an acre in it. So I said, look, I can sell them in tracts. I've got everything from 4 acres up to 30, right at 30 acres. I can sell this and double my money on it at least, just as, recreation hunting property, because it was surrounded by the Tom Bigby National Forest, which is a good hunting area. And so kind of like this, I've done several that are real close to big natural draws like this, recreational draws. And everyone who's been buying is like, oh, I'm going to do a rainwater collection system and solar. I'm doing off-grid cabin anyway, so I don't care about the water. I'd rather it be cheaper price. And I'm like, great. They're happy to pay $3,000 an acre for a, 5, 10, 15 acre tract of land, because it's $2,000 down and $350 a month. They don't care if they're looking for something that they can afford to experiment with their off-grid lifestyle, and it's close to hunting. Some people are just going to pull a camper down there every weekend during hunting season. And they'll have a water in a tank and a generator and all that, and then they'll head off when they go back to Memphis or Jackson or Nashville. So it's not I'm not saying it's a bad deal. It's just going to take a little bit more legwork to make sure that you can do what you can. If it was flatter and it was just like touching this public hunting land over here, or had a view of the Tennessee River, man, I'd be all over it. With being a little bit out of that, I'm interested. I'm not like just jumping up and down, but I'm interested, if that makes sense. Anyway, that's my thoughts on it.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely, man. Is this helpful, kind of going through it and looking at it like this?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know why I'm not a big hunter. I can't imagine anyone like having a monthly payment to own land that they can go hunt on.
Oh, yes, man. All right. I had a property, story time. All right. So I have a property right now that the guy was looking to buy. He had $12,000 a year in hunting leases that he just let go. He paid literally $1,000 a month for these hunting leases. And he said, you know what? That's ridiculous. Why am I not just buying something? Right. And I said, man, absolutely. You should come buy some of my property. So I'm selling him 29 acres adjoining the national forest, potentially. He's went and looked at it. He's very interested, he said. So if he buys this, his monthly payment's like under $800 a month for 29 acres, a little over 29 acres adjoining the national forest, which is not a big property. His hunting lease was for a much bigger property, but it adjoins 67,000 acres of public hunting land. And the way it was set up is there's like this long ridge that comes out and gets wider, but it's really narrow back at the road, so that he has literally a road, like kind of like some of those others we've looked at, like you can drive a truck down it. that goes all the way along that ridge, all the way into the national forest and like way off into the national forest, right? And there's like this giant ridge with really steep sides with like water surrounding it, like these big creeks and stuff all the way around it. And so there's not really easy access from either side of the public land. So even though it's public land, no one else is going to, hike, miles through the woods, down these steep gullies, cross a creek, up another steep gully to get to this area. So he's got like 150 acres of public hunting land that like even the National Forest doesn't have. The Forest Service told me they don't have a good way of getting in there except through this property, right? And so you pretty much have exclusive access to that. And it's even still, 150 plus 29, 180 acres. That's not a lot to hunt, except for the fact because it is so secluded and there's an abundance of trees and food and cover and water. When all the other areas that hunters can get to in the public lands and stuff during hunting season, they start hunting those areas. Well, those deer run up onto this really big ridge and they can live up there. And the big deer, which are the ones that are smarter, that have, outsmarted all the hunters and they kind of clued in on what's happening, the big deer go up there and they hang out. And where do you want to be? Do you want to be in the middle of 500 acres where you don't know where the deer is at? Or do you want to be in the middle of 150 acres where all the big deer are hanging out at? Right. And so, yes, he'll own or finance, 2,000 down and, $700 and something a month to be able to walk in and kill something. People will do it. And to him, it's eventually going to pay itself off. It's then worth something. And he's saving, the $12,000 a year he was spending. Now he's only spending $8,000 a year and he's going to pay it off.
Right.
And he's got a better hunting site closer to home. So people will spend money on it, man. If this is their hobby, they'll spend money on it.
Yeah. There's more expensive hobbies out there.
Well, and two, with buying land versus just leasing, they see it as an investment because the hardwood timber is growing. That's a valuable asset. The property values are going up, not down in general. Okay. I mean, there are rare exceptions, but in general, as long as you don't like do something terrible to the property or an earthquake happens and, destroys it. Most of the time the property values are going up. So to them, if they're going to spend that much money on a lease anyway, it only makes sense to buy something if they can find that unique right property that's going to make sense for them. And this property could be that for somebody, but you just have to do a little investigation to see how it works. Cool.
Well, Hunter, thank you so much again. This definitely does help a lot.
Good deal. Well, happy to do it. And thank you for joining me on this experimental Find That Deal episodes that we're doing here. And I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Well, I'll be seeing you tomorrow. We're going to be praising the Lord.
That's right. Absolutely. Well, sounds good, bro. Well, you have a good night and we'll talk soon.
Yes, sir. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.